Hello and welcome to Alex's Afternoon Art Show, where it is very much not the afternoon right now. It is in fact evening, as of the time of recording this at least. But yeah, today we're going to be drawing the Punisher and talking about the artist's nightmare, drawing guns. Okay, so like last time, I have just drawn the base sketch already. I've done that, I've just gotten it out of the way. And also like last time, I've made a few choice cuts as to the parts that we're going to keep, and we're going to use these pieces of reference throughout the drawing. I've already filled in a few kind of simple details on his face just to kind of help me along to figure out where exactly certain features are. But yeah, from here I might not talk quite as much because recently I got my COVID vaccine, and so I've been a little bit sore in the throat. So I might be a little silent on this one, but I will talk when necessary. Something which I should actually mention is that this is a mild redesign, not a crazy different anything. But this is a mild redesign. I'm just kind of doing this the way I normally draw the Punisher. So I normally give him kind of like a beard and stuff like that. I normally age him up a little bit too, because I mean, he's not supposed to be young. So I normally age him up a little bit. And yeah, kind of give him a bit more weathering. Maybe that eyebrow's a little thick. Oftentimes whenever I'm drawing the Punisher, I tend to envision him having that kind of that old man flat top. You know, the thing that you see a lot of older men get, of where it just kind of like, it grows and then it just stops. And it's such a harsh stop that it creates that kind of that flat top look. I don't believe you've actually seen me draw a beard up to this point, but yeah, whenever I draw a beard, I tend to just draw the normal jawline and everything first, and then draw over that, because it looks more like an actual beard, because that's how a beard grows. So it just makes more sense to me to draw it that way too. You know, it's actually funny earlier on how I kind of downplayed how much of a redesign this is. This is probably one of the more drastic redesigns that I've done, because it incorporates a lot of elements of a lot of different designs. So I guess to start we should probably draw in the neckline to the suit, because with this design, I decided to incorporate the bomb collar look that his design in Punisher Warzone has, because it makes a lot of sense. I mean, he's getting shot at all the time, so I mean the idea of the high collar it makes sense. Also looks cool, so I mean it's a fair reason, fair reason for it to be implemented. This should actually be further over. Needs to stretch more. Then on top of that, I decided to include the trench coat, because the trench coat is cool, and you can also tell it also explains kind of where he's hiding a lot of the guns that he has on him at all times. Makes a degree of sense for him to have the big trench coat, I think, at least. I also enjoy this shoulder pad look. It just looks cool to me. It's just a design on or whenever your dog barked. Excuse me. It's just a thing which I quite enjoy on coats and stuff like that. It looks cool to me. Don't criticize me. For whatever reason, the guy in the reference has these big industrial gloves on, so I couldn't really tell you why that's there. But yeah, it does just kind of make things a little harder to approximate. But I mean, you got to work with what you have. Oh yeah. Now we get to the tricky part, drawing the guns. So, if you're not somebody who draws yourself, you might not exactly immediately understand, but the reason why drawing guns is a pain in the ass is because there are so many moving pieces, and it's a case of where a lot of artists, myself included, will sooner than drawing them from memory, just trace a gun, because it just makes life so much easier, and drawing them from your mind often leads to Rob Liefeld guns. So yeah, big blocky, nonsensical looking guns. If you need to, you can look that up. You can look that specific example up if you want some good chuckles. So a quick thing which I'm actually going to touch on right now is trigger discipline. And so if you don't know what that is, that's just keeping your finger off the trigger whenever you're not going to shoot. And this is a real thing that the people who are trained with guns do. So if you're trying to make a character look like they're trained with a gun, you're going to have them practice trigger discipline. However, in an image like this, you won't be able to see his finger at all if his finger isn't on the trigger. So I'm just going to put it there for now, just so that it looks right. Because it'll look a bit weird if he's got the three fingers and then you can't see the other one. At least in my mind, that might look a bit weird to me at least. Now the lighting here is kind of the lighting in the reference here is kind of tricky, so I'm doing my best to approximate some of the features of this particular gun. But yeah, the gun that you're often going to end up drawing is going to be like an M16 or an M4 like this. So it's a case of where they're just trying to kind of cobble together features and stuff like that from one to the other is fine enough. Just try and kind of remember where things are, throw in like a few rectangular shapes. Don't necessarily have to be perfect, but yeah, just kind of to get the general areas and all this stuff in is really all you're looking for. Okay, so we've gotten our gun drawn. Sorry that I wasn't talking too much during that, but again, the throat and also drawing a gun does take an absurd amount of focus because of just how many kind of lines and little bits and everything there are going on in it. But yeah, like there's just so much going on with it when it comes to drawing a gun. It's just it really is a nightmare. It really is a nightmare. So I mean, this is the thing. If you can avoid drawing them, avoid it as best as you can, because yeah, I don't envy the people who have to draw this stuff all the time, as well as the people who have to draw cars all the time. I don't envy them either. So yeah, this is like a proper Matrix trench coat, so it goes down to the top of the boots, I would say, if not longer. But I think the top of the boots is maybe long enough. Maybe long enough. Maybe it doesn't need to be full Matrix trench coat, or it just goes on indefinitely, drags along the floor. I don't really know what the practicality of a trench coat like that would be, but yeah, who knows. Style in the 90s was strange. Okay, So now we get into the rest of the kind of the bomb suit look of where we're kind of adding in. Yeah, so the way that I like to do this can be a bit tricky. So the belt line is probably roughly here, so we're just going to put in a little line there just to remind us of where that is. And so the way that I do, well, the way that I do the Punisher, particularly the kind of the skull and all that stuff. So what I do is I have the pouches naturally. You know, the pouches going along the front, and so they act as kind of the teeth of the skull, of the Punisher skull. Do it in a sense. You're gonna have the full skull there anyways, but you put the obligatory pouches on the front that wrap all around because again he has to carry an absurd amount of ammo, so naturally he's gonna have a lot of pouches. But yeah, at least there's a practicality for these pouches. They're not just pouches for the sake of pouches. So yeah, we have these pouches wrapping around and all this stuff. Yeah, we just put a little detailing on them. We just have them wrap around, and then I'm going to add a little bit of depth to them, so we'll just add stuff like that, just kind of going down and around to kind of help your eye tell exactly kind of the way that they fold and bend in on themselves. So now we've got the kind of the teeth of our skull, we've got our pouches in. Probably add a little bit more detailing to the coat here along the sides, just so that we're seeing the kind of the folds going down it. Maybe a bit much. So, a bomb suit like this is supposed to be is a very kind of a sturdy material. So, I'll just throw in like these little bits of his clavicle here actually, because that should be visible here. But yeah, so bomb collar is made of very sturdy material, so we aren't going to see much bending apart from like the kind of the end of the sternum, because that would be where the kind of the rivet of the pecs would show up. So, and since he's a very beefy man, it's obviously going to be protruding through this impossibly sturdy bomb vest. But yeah, so we're going to have that be really our only kind of detailing on it. It also helps us because it makes life easier on our end. So we're just going to start drawing in the skull now here. And yeah, I usually make the skull very large so that I don't have to draw all of it. I only have to draw very little of it, as a matter of fact. And yeah, make the kind of the lines on it maybe a bit darker. You know, there could stand to be maybe a bit more of it showing up here. So we'll kind of come out maybe a bit more like this. That's looking a bit better. And because the way this is turning out, we're going to, that's looking maybe a bit more like a Spider-Man eye, and a skull shape. But yeah, again, this kind of goes back to what I was saying in the last video about symmetry. Nothing needs to be symmetrical, because the last thing that is going to be symmetrical is going to be a person's skull. Because skulls are not perfectly symmetrical. Usually, like, the eye socket shapes are weird and different and all this stuff, and also, particularly the Punisher skull, usually one of the eyes is actually bigger than the other. It's something which I'm just remembering now, but it kind of works to my favor. I should say I don't actually have reference open in front of me, which would naturally make my life easier, but you know, we're not in the business of making our lives easier today. We're drawing guns and the like. So yeah, what I usually do is I have these kind of pouches act as the, yeah, as I say, the teeth of the skull, and so we're gonna just kind of add in a little bit of the kind of indent there, and yeah, a little bit of the indent, and we probably want it to kind of come down a bit as we have the indent there. But yeah, the Punisher skull is long, and yeah, you can just kind of do with any kind of superhero assembly. You can really just kind of screw with it a little bit, and you'll get something that looks kind of like it. But that's all you really need. Something that looks vaguely like it, something that resembles it, so that you get the idea across. This is why everybody's done a different Spider-Man logo since the '60s, and it has barely looked even remotely similar. But yeah, you can just get away with really whatever you want with logos and stuff like that. But yeah, we're kind of done with the upper body now, so we're just gonna finish off the rest of the design. We need to actually make sure that after we've done this, we add in the back of the trench coat, because since it's such a long trench coat, you'd be able to see quite a bit of it from behind his legs, or from in between his legs, I mean. Right. So actually, I should say this now, while I'm in a talking section, that yeah, I decided to just keep the boots from this this reference, because conveniently enough, the you need to give me a second. I've lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, but the model was just happened to be wearing military boots, so that made my life a lot easier. So I don't have to go out looking for reference of them, because bloody hell, they're impossible to draw. I don't think I'm gonna bother doing the shoelaces. It's just adding lines onto it, and it's just gonna make it a little bit confusing to look at. So I'm not gonna bother drawing the shoelaces on top of everything there. You know, drawing those trousers, I was kind of just experimenting, throwing lines everywhere. I think it actually kind of worked. I guess my method for drawing hair also applies to baggy trousers, I guess. Alright, so this is one of those rare times where I'm going to be filling something in entirely black. And yeah, I don't normally do it, but I'm doing it here because it's just it's an area which I don't really care much for. The back of the coat. It wouldn't really look any way interesting if I did decide to do much with it. I don't think there's really anything I could do with it, to be honest. No, nothing that I really care to do with it. It's just, yeah, I think it looks better whenever it's all black. It helps emphasize out the legs a little bit more. Okay, so we've done the base drawing, or I say the base drawing, the detailed drawing now. So there are a few bits that we have left to do. I mean, there's quite a bit left to do. Firstly, we will start with the dots, though. Our good old-fashioned dot shading. And yeah, I'll just say it now, actually. I'm not going to be doing much of a background or anything. I have an idea for what to do with the background. I think I'm just going to do kind of like streaks of black and white. And we'll do like a fairly simple gradient map and everything. We won't do anything too crazy with it. It'll be fairly simple. But yeah, I don't intend to go too crazy with this one. I think I want the focus to be just the character, really. You know, it's funny. I look at a lot of other artists who use very similar techniques to me, or even hell, they use basically the same brushes. Some of them that I see. A lot of the artists that I follow on social media and stuff like this, they'll also, I mean, this dot brush in particular, I see a lot of other artists using, and it's funny because I see them using all these very similar, if not the same, techniques and stuff like that I use. And I think maybe it's just the curse of an artist, because I just, yeah, I look at it and I say, good God, it is, looks like magic in their hands. But then again, it's probably because I'm just used to how my stuff looks that I don't really see any kind of craziness or anything to it. But yeah, as I say, maybe it is just the curse of an artist to compare themselves to other artists. But yeah, I mean, I don't exactly try to compare myself to other artists too much, but it's always nice to look at other artists and then say, ooh, there's something I like. I wonder how that'd look if I did it. I mean, that's what the dot brush was for me. I saw a lot of artists using dot shading and like screen tone as well. Yeah, I just liked how it looked, and then I started using it myself, and I quite like how it looks. So it's that type of thing of where it's you just kind of adapt certain things to your own style to fit your own ends. Really, you do what you like when it comes to art, and yeah, I do just kind of enjoy it, and it's funny just to kind of look at other artists and say, oh God, how is it that they can pull off stuff like this whenever I feel like I'm still just drawing stickmen. But yeah, again, maybe it is just the curse of an artist to compare themselves to others, but yeah, I don't know. Again, there is some stuff to be learned via comparison, but sometimes it just gets kind of maybe a bit unhealthy whenever it's too much. I wouldn't say that the way I compare myself is too unhealthy, at least, but yeah, it is just funny sometimes. You know, a big part of the reason why I didn't actually draw attention to this earlier on in the video, but I draw in 4x3 mainly, or at least I do with these videos. And whenever I'm drawing, just for kind of fun, I tend to draw in 4x3. And the reason for it is because you just get so much more grit and dirt out of the out of the lines. You see like all these like little bits of like feathering and just like scratchiness and like just grit, as I say, to the line. It just makes it come out far more interestingly, and as well the dots come out much bigger as well. So it's a case of where you get your dots and they're much more large. They're doing much more in terms of the shading. Like whenever it's a much bigger image, like in any of the thumbnail drawings that I do for the which I do the speed arts for. In any of those videos, you'll see that the you'll see that the brain is failing me today. Yeah, you'll see that the dots are much smaller on that page because the page is bigger. And so yeah, it just makes it so that you have to really layer on the dots to get much more kind of depth out of your shading. But here it's a case of we're on a much smaller frame, on a much smaller image. You don't have to do quite as much to get interesting shading out of the dots. So yeah, it just comes out much more easily, and yeah, as I say, I just think it looks more interesting. Okay, so we've got our dot shading done in record time. Actually, I thought this would take a lot longer, but it only actually took me 20 minutes to do the dot shading. Normally it takes me a lot longer to do that, but yeah, we're just going to move on to our colours. And yeah, now that we're in the color phase, you're going to probably see maybe a bit more of the kind of redesigning of this, because as I say, I incorporated little bits of everything. So you've got the trench coat, which is the kind of typical design now. You've got the beard, which is kind of my own added thing. You've got the bomb collar from Punisher Warzone. You've got the just trying to focus on getting this color looking right here. You have, yeah, as I was saying, you've got the bomb collar from Punisher Warzone. You've got all these other things which are kind of from different places, which, as I say, I've already said where they're from and all this stuff. But with the colors, you're going to maybe see a bit more of the very 80s Punisher, of where it's like all the different bits of white and stuff like that. I tend to incorporate lots of the white into his design. So because of that, you're probably gonna see a lot of this is gonna have. I'm probably gonna put the background on pretty soon. As the background's pretty simple, won't take very long. As I said earlier on, I do tend to age Punisher up whenever I draw him, so I've added in little, like, kind of sort of grey bits, just kind of lighter bits to his hair and beard. You know, I always thought of as Punisher being a very kind of scruffy character, so it never really made sense to me why he always looked so clean shaven and like his hair slicked back and all this stuff. He always struck me as a character who should have either like heavy stubble or a beard, because yeah, they always kind of portray him as being this very kind of scruffy character, so it'd always just make more sense to me if he was scruffy looking. I don't know, maybe I'm crazy. Alright, now before we add in any of our other colours, what we're just going to do very quickly here is we're going to throw in our gradient. So I'm going to make it I'll make it white, just pure white at the bottom. And then the very top, I will make it a very dark grey. Darker than we'll probably have our black. So we'll have this just come down straight from the top. We'll even shift to make it perfect straight. And there, now we've got our black and our whites. Maybe not this, maybe not this, maybe the other way around. Maybe I'm not going to do a gradient for the background. Maybe for now, I'll just undo this and I'll have the background just be a solid red for now, just to fill time while I think about our background. Okay, we've got our whites done, so now we just have our blacks, and I think that's it. And I've just realised a major boo-boo that I've done. I've done part of it on the skin layer. Only the boots though, I can fix that thankfully. Thankfully I can fix that, because good god, that was a pretty large boo-boo. These two layers. That's all it is. No, there's no more white which is on the skin layer, is there? No, does not appear to be. Good. Oh yeah, that happens so often. Thankfully this time it was easy to fix. Sometimes it is not easy to fix. What you're doing. Good. Anyways, on to the backs. Okay, think I have an idea for what to do with the background, and we're going to do it before we do in our colours. It might be an odd choice. It might be an odd choice. We'll see. We'll see what it brings us. So first things first. Instead of just using our background layer, what we're going to do is we're just going to throw down this just pure white on a separate layer, so it won't really do anything right now, but it's just a case of where this will just be so we're not relying on our background layer. So I'm going to watercolor in some stuff. We're going to see how it looks, because my idea is that I want to have this look of paint streaks. Again, an odd choice, but we'll see if it works. It might work. Who knows? Who knows? That looks pretty cool. Looks interesting. I'll do my best to get rid of that like harsh line. You might be able to see it a little bit there. That's because I had to drag this up. That's why it's there. We're kind of getting this interesting like battling smokes look here almost, where you've got your black smoke kind of bleeding in and then the white smoke bleeding over it, which, as I say, does look interesting. Yeah, quite like it. Quite like it. So yeah, there's our background done. Simple enough. I enjoy it. It's simple and it's dirty looking, which is, for whatever reason, that's our theme right now, is dirt. But yeah, now we shall do our shading, our last bit of shading, and then I think, well, we'll throw on our light line, we'll remember to sign it, and then we'll throw on a gradient map, our texture, and then we'll be done. We've still got a little bit to do, as it turns out. Okay, right, I've got all the shading done, I've got all the colouring done, I've got the background done. I've got to sign it. That's next on the agenda. It is getting very dark in here, so I'm trying to wrap up, because the reason why I don't have a light on already is because there are not many plugs in this room, so I have to be economical. It's a good word, economical. Anyways. Before I get sidetracked with language, what's next? We need to sign. Make sure we do that. Then we'll do our light line after we've signed it, because it's very easy to forget to sign it, and I most likely would have. So we shall make our brush that small, and we shall just sign right here. There's our signature, and then we'll do the light line underneath the signature. Okay, and the light line shouldn't take very long. We're just gonna follow what we've done with our lighting there. I don't think we're going to go too ham on our light line this time, because we're just going to start losing lines basically because of our background. So next we shall do our gradient map, and then we'll throw on the texture, and then we'll be done. Okay, so what do we want to do with our gradient map? That's the big question this time. Oh, we need to reverse it because I've made a foolish error. Okay, so I like it. I've gone for a bit of a kind of a purpley one, but I like it actually. It's all right. Okay, so if you'd like to know how I ended up making that weird mistake at the start there, is because I didn't have my black as my top. So what you want for the gradient map is you want your darkest color to be on the top, so that therefore it puts the darks and the lights in the right area, because otherwise you're gonna have to reverse it later, and it's just it annoys me to have to do it. So right, I'll open up another file and then we'll grab our texture. It's funny, I don't think there's quite as much for the texture to do this time around. Because I mean, you can see it whenever you zoom in and everything, but it is interesting because it doesn't really affect the light colors quite as much. You always see it doesn't really do it quite as much. Anyways, I believe we are done. I believe we are done. So that was a fun one. I quite enjoyed it. We talked a little bit about drawing guns, which is, as I said previously, a nightmare. Which is why, yeah, I just kind of traced what was already there. But yeah, I had fun doing this one. I hope you had fun watching it. If you liked the video, do what you'd normally do. I can't convince you otherwise. Nor do I intend to. But yeah, still don't really do much of an outro. That's kind of it, really. But yeah, it was fun. Bye bye.